Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're giving charity today. We'll start today by giving charity. Sion b'mishpat tapara v'shaveh v'tzedakah, with Torah and charity. The Jewish people all be redeemed and freed and returned to the land of Israel. Charity. God save our soldiers, help our soldiers, defeat our enemies. And now, let's good. Up to now, we've learned how it is that the reward for all of our service of God in this world and the service is simultaneous. It's at the same time. What is the main reward for all of our service of God in the world? Says the Rebbe, well, there's two things. There's two things. And essentially, they're only one. The reward for our service of God in the world is the revelation of God in the world. That's the reward. Why do we do Torah? Why do we do the commandments? Why are we doing what God tells us to do? For the reason that God created man, the first man, put him in the world to work here and to perfect it. L'avdu l'shamra. And it says right after that, God created man. God looked at the world, saw everything that was good, and then came everything when the world was good, and then came in Shabbat, and it says Asher bora Elokim la'asot, that God made to correct. The world was made in order to fix up the world. That's the goal. In the whole 5 books of Moses, it doesn't mention going to heaven or going to hell as a reward or as a motivation or as a what do you call it? Something, was it? A reason not to do things. There's a good word for it. Anyway, as a reason not to do sins is because you're going to go to hell, and the reason to do commandments is going to go to heaven, as is not mentioned in the Torah. What is it mentioned in the Torah? Serve God. To serve God with all of your heart. Serving God. What does it mean, serving God? Doing what God wants, doing something that God can't do. God put us in a place where there is bad and we have urge to do bad and not to do what's good. That's our natural urge. And to transform ourselves, that we do appreciate God and we come to love God and all these different levels of love of God, deeper and deeper love and appreciation and awe of God and fear of God, fear of doing the wrong thing. And with that attitude, as we change the whole world, change the world. And that's why we're here, is to change the world. That's the reward. The reward is the world is changed. Says the Rebbe that the fact is that when you do a commandment of God, that's really changing the world. That's changing the world. You become a vessel, a vehicle for God's will. You become God's will. Your arm, your leg, whatever you use to do the commandment, that becomes God's will, like a holy temple. The holy temple was a building built only to serve God. That's the purpose, and to reveal God. They serve God on the altars, Mizbah, and they revealed God was in the Holy of Holies, revelation of God. And there was also other revelations of God. There was a fire that came down from heaven on the outer altar all the time. So 2 revelations of God. One is the immediately when you do a commandment, schar mitzvah, like they say. And the other one is after we finish all the work, whatever it is, then there's going to be Moshiach, and then there'll be major changes. The major changes in people. People will change. The world will become pure. People will become pure. Okay. So it says that, therefore, we will get our reward right now. That's the commandment in the Torah, in this week's Torah portion, that a boss has to pay his workers at the end of the day, immediately. But he has to pay immediately. And here, not immediately, not when they're working, but immediately when the day is finished. But here, God does it even sooner. He pays us immediately when we're doing the work. In fact, the work itself is the biggest reward that there could possibly be. Okay. And so the Rebbe said, and this is really hinted at, this idea of doing the work and getting the reward simultaneously. This is hinted at in the month of Elul. And the month of Elul is the first letters, Ani Ladodi, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. I am to my beloved means what we do for God. We do the work. That's ki tetzei lemilchama. You go out to war with yourself, with your fixing up the world. That's our goal. And Vidodi Li means that God rewards us, that God reveals himself in this world. That's the month of Elul. Now the Rebbe is going to go through some important dates in the month of Elul. As we said before, the month of Elul in general is a month where we're inspired, or at least there's to serve God. Whether we act on that inspiration is up to us, but we are inspired in the month of Elul to serve God. And what exactly that means to serve God is open up a Shulchan Aruch or go to your local Chabad house or ask your local Orthodox rabbi, and he'll tell you what it means to serve God. In the month of Elul itself, there's also special dates. That's generally the month of Elul. But in the month of Elul itself, there's certain dates which are special. For instance, the 14th day of Elul. Now you have to remember when the Rebbe was speaking this was 33 years ago. But in any case, when the Rebbe was saying this, the dates of the calendar did not exactly correspond to the days of the week like this year. The dates of the calendar don't have to be according to the days of the week. How does it work? I mean, just a short summary. The American calendar, for instance, the European calendar only goes according to the sun, the seasons of the year, right? June, July, that's always the summer, right? December, that's always winter. That's how it only goes according to the sun, to the seasons. The Arab calendar goes only according to the moon, right? The month of Ramadan, whatever, can appear in, I don't know if it's a month, I don't know what the months really are of it. But let's say the month of Ramadan, it can fall any time of the year. It can fall in the summer, in the winter, because it only goes according to the moon. When there's a new moon, that's the start of that's the beginning of this. The Jewish calendar goes according to both. It goes according to the seasons of the year, because, I mean, just for instance, the holiday of Passover always has to fall in the spring. It has to fall in the spring. And so it goes according to the sun. But it also goes according to the moon, because the beginning of each month is always when the moon starts to become visible. The end of the month is when the moon is hidden. I mean, it doesn't always work out that way exactly, because the calendar was set by a rabbi called Hillel about a couple hundred years after the temple was destroyed. So, but generally that's the principle. So it goes according to both. So as a result, how do we put them into sync? Once every like 4 years, so there's made a leap month, and the extra month is added on. 2 others are added on. An other is added on, right? The month right before Passover is added on. But until that, it goes out of sync. So sometimes it can be that 1 month, as the day of the month doesn't fall on the same day of the week every single year. So in the day when the Rebbe was speaking, Shabbat fell on a different day of the month. Okay, so but we can juggle it around so that it's relevant to us also. Here we go. We have the 14th day of Elul. That's the beginning of the 15th day of Elul. What's 15th day of Elul? That's when the moon is full. It says that the moon is full. Sharom is this hints at Hashlemus, the Yisrael, completion of the Jewish people. What's the Jewish people got to do with the moon? It says the Jewish people are compared to the moon. Shadomim Levana. And they count according to the moon. The reason they are compared to this moon is because everything they have, they receive from God. God is, in this case, in this metaphor, the sun. And also the Jewish people, they wax and they wane. They're always changing. But in the end, the moon, the Jewish people, and the moon are going to be complete. They're going to be whole. So in the beginning, the moon and the sun were the same brightness, and the moon complained, and God said, okay, you don't want to be this, you don't think that the sun should be like you, so you be less. So it says the Jewish people are like that, and they're going to be renewed like the moon, like a full moon. And especially the wholeness of the moon, this is by means of this, it receives the light of the sun. This is the idea of somebody's making noise. What's going on? So, what's going on over here? Somebody has to, I don't know. Wait a second, this is on mute. Okay, good. Okay, good. By means of this is it. It receives from the moon receives from the sun. That's how it becomes full. That this is the idea of the unity of the sun and the moon. And what did we say before? That in this metaphor, that the Jewish people are the moon, so the sun is compared to God. The sun is a metaphor for God. So the unity of both of them, this is like a marriage. This is like a marriage of God and who's the sun and the Jewish people. So that's what we're waiting for. So the 15th day of Elul, 15th day of every month, but the 15th day of Elul also hints at this future redemption when the moon will be full. When the 15th day of every month, the moon is full. That's one other thing. Another thing, on the 14th day of Elul, we should start learning the laws of the holiday of Sukkot. Why? Because 30 days before the holiday, since that the month of Elul is always missing, the month of Elul is always 29 days. There's some months that are 30 days. The month of Elul is always 29 days. As we begin 30 days before the holiday of Sukkot is the 14th day of Elul. And this is the beginning of the preparation of Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing, which is the completion of our joy, the holiday of Sukkot. Shlosh Smachot Kativ B'Chag. 3 times in the holiday of Sukkot, it is written, be happy. The holiday of happiness is the holiday of Sukkot. Why is it the holiday of Sukkot? Because first of all, it comes after the revelation of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is also the day of God's marriage to the Jewish people. How? Can you answer how? Because that was the day that the Jews received the second tablets. Shabon Naseh, there was a unity of God with the Jewish people. And even more, this is the joy, Simchatenu, Zman Simchatenu, the joy of our happiness. That we join 2 happinesses together. The holiday of Sukkot is Zman Simchatenu, not Simchati or something. Simchatenu means, or Zman Simcha, just the time of happiness. It's the time of our happiness. So they can say it's our happiness means of all the Jewish people. It can also mean our happiness, ours and God's. Shemechabrin, that is joined together, 2 happinesses together are joined. The joy from above to below, God's happiness. Yismach Hashem b'ma'asav, like it says that God rejoices in his handiwork, with the happiness of the Jewish people from below to above. Yismach Yisrael ba'osav, that the Jewish people rejoice in their Creator. Shebezeh, that in this, Mudgash is stressed. Achibur, the joy, the joining of Klal Savoda, of our service, with the reward for the service. What's the reward for the service? Is that we make God happy. That's the middle of the month of Elul. Masav. That's the whole idea of we are here in this world in order to do the commandments. Sheyushlam bechinas yom, that we should totally utilize this idea of today to do them. God puts us in the world for a reason. A person is given a certain number of years in the world, a certain number of set years, and he's got a time to do his work. And every single day is a new creation, it's a new miracle, and it's a new challenge, a new responsibility. But the point is that we're in the world, only in the physical world when we're alive can we serve God. After a person dies, his soul goes up to heaven, he gets all sorts of rewards and all sorts of lights. And this is drawn down that by means of our work, it draws down, it causes that God gets happiness. Yismach Hashem b'ma'asav. God rejoices in his handiwork in the world. According to Kabbalah, joy comes from what's called the inner level of the crown of God, the essence of God. This is what's going to be revealed in the future to come. So that's the reward of our deeds is revealed right when we're doing the deeds. Namely, that we're making God happy. Chapter 14, paragraph 14. Hosafa, there's also, especially in our generation, that Erev Shabbat, like I said, by the Rebbe, the dates of the month and the days of the year are not exactly, the days of the week are not exactly the same as we have here. It says, this Erev Shabbat, whoever works, prepares before Shabbat, will eat on Shabbat, is the 13th of Elul. By us, it doesn't work that way. By us, the 13th of Elul will be on Monday. Anyway, the 13th day of Elul, this is the day that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe got married. Nasi Doreinu, the leader of our generation. And before that, for those who don't know, let's have a picture over here of the previous Rebbe so that we're not just talking in the air. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, picture. Previous Rebbe. Here we go. Beautiful picture of the Rebbe. Here we go. No, that's not him. There we go. Oh, pictures of the Rebbe. This is the Rebbe when he was in Russia, when he came to America, when he was just getting off the boat in America. Came to America twice. That's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And while we're at it, let's have a picture also of his father. By got a picture? No, do we have a picture? Let's see, one second. There we go, picture. Here's a picture of this is the previous Rebbe's father. This is the fifth Rebbe of Chabad. Shalom Dovber. Another picture. That's good enough picture. Good. Okay, so that's the previous. We'll see if this is relevant to us soon. Yes, 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 very good. Oh. So it says this is the 13th day of Elul. This is the day of the marriage of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And before that, and before that, on the 11th day of Elul is the wedding day of his father, right? That I showed you the two pictures of his father, Kavod Kedushas Adonai. So this is the excuse me. So on the 11th day, that's when the Rebbe Rashab was married. On the 13th is the day when the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was married. Okay. And after that, it was drawn down. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he drew down on the 15th day of Elul. So that's the 11th day of Elul. The fifth Rebbe of Chabad was married. On the 13th day of Elul, years later, of course, was married the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Now, why are we talking about this? Because marriage is the whole thing of the Jewish people with God in the coming of Mashiach is the marriage of the Jews with God. That's the 15th day of Elul. This is another thing. The 15th day of Elul was the day that all of the Chabad yeshivas were founded within the 7 days of, and the third day after the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was married. So within the Shabbat brachos, within the 7 days of rejoicing after the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe's wedding, was founded, and this was in Tafshin Nun Zion. Tafshin Nun Zion, which Tafshin Nun Zion is what? I think 18, no. 1 second. Tafshin Nun Zion is,
1997.
No. Tafshin, Taf Reish Nun Zion, I'm sorry. 1997. So it's 1897. 1897, very good. Taf Reish Nun Zion. 1897 was when the first yeshivas of Chabad were founded. Shemimenu bo hatzat la'aviv tziyasat l'shiva, that the Rebbe suggested to his father that he should found the yeshiva. That he should found the yeshiva. He must have been very young. He must have been like 15 or something when he suggested he'd do it. I have to figure out exactly the timeline. But the yeshivas of Chabad are unique because the whole purpose of the yeshivas of Chabad are to learn Chassidut in order to bring Mashiach. Chassidut Chabad is what's called the teachings of Mashiach, Torah Mashiach. The whole purpose of Chabad is only to bring Mashiach. That's the purpose of Chabad. That's the purpose of Judaism, to bring Mashiach. That's the goal of Judaism. That's the goal of the world, is to bring Mashiach. And the only ones that are really crazy about it are Chabad. And that's the whole idea of Chassidut, why the Rebbe's poured all of their self-sacrifices only in order to bring Mashiach. And so when was the first yeshiva of Chabad made? It was in 1897. That's right. Yeah, I hope so. 1897. Very good. The Nitmane, and the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, when he was only 17 years old, he was appointed to be the leader, the manager of the yeshiva. But Nisuin, the marriage of every single Jew, he was married when he was 17. The marriage of every single Jew, even every individual Jew, this is the idea of attaching this is an individual wedding, right? Two Jews, a man and woman get married. So this just reflects, this is a microcosm of the big marriage of the Jewish people in general with God in the days of the Mashiach. Now this is a very, very important topic, because what is Jewish identity? Everybody asks, what is Jewish identity? What is a Jewish identity? It's not necessarily a religion. Of course, Judaism is a religion, but there's non-religious Jews are Jews. It's not a nationality. There's Jews that they haven't lived in Israel. Their grandparents, the great-great-grandparents, for who knows how many generations, not have any connection with Israel. So it's not a nation. It's not a race. There's Jews of all different colors, all different places, all different places, and they're Jews, right? It's not a convert. A person can convert to Judaism, and he's not in the Jewish race at all. He's as much as a Jew as Moses is. And so what is Judaism? What exactly is a Jew? So the answer is very simple. The answer of a Jew is someone who is married to God. That's a Jew. It could be that God has, left for a while to go to work, and the Jewish people, maybe they're confused. They have, they've had whatever is, a memory lapse for the last couple thousand years. But nevertheless, that's what a Jew is. And when the days of the Mashiach, it'll be revealed. That'll be the wedding day between us. And therefore, it started at Mount Sinai. That was God's wedding day. And therefore, it ends up, we say, the end of the Sheva Brachot, that we say when a person gets married. So also under the wedding canopy, the rabbi is supposed to make 7 blessings. 7 blessings after the wedding. There's one blessing that's made before the wedding, and then there's 7 blessings after the wedding. 7 blessings. And what does the one say? Meher Hashem Elokeinu, quickly. Yishama ba'or Yehuda b'chutzos Yerushalayim. May there quickly be. This is the seventh of the seven blessings. May there soon be heard in the mountains of Judah and in the area of Jerusalem. Kol chasen v'kol kala, kol chasen v'kol kala, kol sasen v'kol simcha. The sound of rejoicing and happiness of the the bride and the groom. How much more so if every individual Jewish wedding reflects the big wedding, which is between God and the Jewish people, how much more so the wedding of the leader of the Jewish people, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And before him, his father, they were the Nasi Huakal. They were the leaders of the Jewish people. How are they the leaders of the Jewish people? There are a lot of Jews that never even heard of them. How could it possibly be? So the answer is that they were the only real leaders that actively had in their heart and in their mind and in their deeds the interest of all the Jewish people, to wake up the Jewish people to realize that that's their identity, that they're the wives of God, that we're married to God, to start doing the commandments, start learning the Torah. That was their active goal. That's the reason that the previous Rebbe sat in prison in communist Russia. When the Rebbe came to America, he was already like half paralyzed. Nevertheless, he sent out emissaries to Morocco, to all these different places to save Jews. Ubefrat, and especially the leaders of Chabad, that they revealed the inner Torah, the Chassidut, teachers of Chassidut, in a way of understanding and grasping, until a way of Yafutzu Ma'anatecha Chutza, spreading out the well springs out, that by means of this will come Mar, this is the Mashiach. And especially with a special stress on the leadership of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he's the leader of our generation. The Rebbe always said, our Rebbe always said that his father-in-law, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's the real Rebbe. And that he himself, the Rebbe himself, he's just filling his place. He's just filling his place. He's just like an emissary, a replacement. And it seemed that the Rebbe was always saying a temporary replacement, because the previous Rebbe is going to come back. He said a lot of times, the previous Rebbe is going to come back and he'll be the Mashiach. Said a lot of times. Then we learned, and we just learned last week, that the Rebbe said that he himself is a Mashiach. He says that in our generation he's a prophet. In our generation there's a prophet. It was the previous Rebbe. In our generation there is also no. In any case, it's pretty obvious that what the Rebbe is talking about over here is that the leader of the generation is all of the Rebbes of Chabad. Once he said that all the Rebbes of Chabad are the Mashiach of their generation. Continuing this, and especially together with this, was the foundation of Tomchei Tamimim, the yeshivas of Chabad. Because what's the purpose of all the yeshivas of Chabad? The pupils of the yeshivas of Chabad are called Tamimim. Tamimim means that they are, because they learn the Torah Tashem in a complete way. Nigla the Torah, the revealed Torah, and also the secrets of the Torah. Below it, and not only that, but the learning of the inside of the Torah is understanding and grasping. What's the inside of the Torah? The godliness of the Torah. You learn about God. You sit in the morning for 1 hour, in the evening 1 hour, and you learn about God. How is there so much to talk about God? What can you learn about? So the answer is that everything in the world can be connected to God. But first of all, you have to learn a little bit about what's the uniqueness of the Jewish people, the soul of the Jewish people, the soul of the Torah, the soul of the commandments. The mysteries of the Torah, but in a practical way. It's not Kabbalah. It uses the ideas of Kabbalah to make them practical, to make you have love of God and to do the commandments. That's the main thing. But Limud, Sugios, Benigla the Torah, that they learn, Chassidut teaches you the ideas of the inside of the Torah, just like we learn about ideas and topics in the revealed Torah. Right? How high does the sukkah have to be? What exactly is a marriage? What happens if you owe somebody money and you send it by means of an emissary and the emissary steals it? Do you still owe it? What if the person, he sends an emissary and you give the emissary the money and then the emissary steals it? Is it considered you pay? these laws and little details, which that's the Torah. That's the essence of God, just like a human being is very complicated. Every corpuscle is important. Same thing as the Torah is alive. That's what makes the Torah alive when you look at the inside of it. The inside of it. So in Chabad, they learn also Talmud and they learn law, but they also learn the secrets of the Torah. That's the special thing about Tomchei Tamimim. The yeshiva is called Tomchei, and it supports the Tamimim, the students who learn both aspects of the Torah. Sheseichel Adam, that the mind of man can be united with the mind of the inside of the Torah, the inside secrets of God in the Torah. Yichud nifla, tremendous unity that there's no unity like it at all, like a marriage, we said. Kol this is basar lechad, they'll be like one flesh. Ma'ayin v'dugmas achana, v'achana l'mamer u'matzav di'amot Mashiach, something like the days of the Mashiach. What's going to be the days of the Mashiach? When we learn Chassidut now, this is something like it's going to be in the days of the Mashiach. It says all the Jewish people, so the Rambam says, Maimonides, it's a law book. Rambam says that all of the Jewish people, the whole world will be filled with the knowledge of God. And people will only be interested in God, and seeing God and feeling God and following God and everything, even the non-Jews, everyone. And therefore, all the Jewish people, they'll be tremendously wise. The Yudim, they'll know hidden things, and they'll grasp the wisdom of God himself. And therefore, it says that's what they learn in the yeshivas of Chabad. Therefore, the yeshivas of Chabad, they're called Chayli Beit David. They're called the soldiers of the house of King David. Shemanatzchim, that they are victorious. They utilize the situation of Chirfo Ichvas Mishichecha. They utilize the situation of of the last days of exile, where there is being, they say, the attempts to destroy the heels of the Mashiach, Upoilim, and they bring about the revelation and the arrival of the arrival of the Mashiach. Amen ve'amen. In other words, basically, what does it mean defying the Mashiach? It means defying Jewish identity. It means denying Jewish identity. That's an enemy of the Mashiach. All of these different religions that stand up and say that Mashiach doesn't depend on Torah, doesn't depend on the commandments anymore, doesn't depend on the rabbis, doesn't depend on the Talmud. Those are the enemies of the Mashiach. And it could be that they're doing it without their knowledge. They just inherited from the previous generations. But the fact of the matter is they're the enemies of Mashiach. What's Mashiach? As a person that's going to make every Jew aware of his true identity, that we are married to the creator of the universe. And we are servants of the creator of the universe, and we're soldiers of the creator of the universe, and we're the sons of the creators of the universe. These are all different aspects of our connection to the creator, the almighty creator. And that's what a Jew is. And that's why we say, that's the whole idea of the yeshivas of Chabad. They bring the arrival of Mashiach, like it says, Baruch Hashem L'olam, Amen ve'amen. Blessed be God. This is the end of the psalm. Yeah, these are the words where the previous Rebbe, the father of the previous Rebbe said when he made the yeshiva. He made the yeshiva, like we said, in what is it, 1897, and he said, this yeshiva is in order to bring the Mashiach. And we're learning Chassidut, and the pupils in the yeshiva are called the soldiers of the house of King David, the soldiers of Mashiach. And our job is to bring light. That's our weapon, education and light. And to comment, Shetkufa said that the time that we are in, this time ended after Maisenu, after our deeds in the 40 years from the passing away of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he passed away in 1950. And 1990, which is when the Rebbe is speaking, 91, this is already 40 years. It says 40 years after the passing away, it takes 40 years for a pupil to actually grasp the level of his teacher. So our teacher was the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he passed away 40 years ago, so it took us 40 years. And now we have actually accomplished what all the previous Rebbes have wanted, namely to fight the battle of to be victorious. That we have that we should add on spreading out the teachings of Hasidut outwards, and Hashem should give you a heart to know and eyes to see and ears to hear. That's what Moses said to the Jewish people right before they went into Israel without him. And now, says the Rebbe, we are standing in a new period, a new Eon. What's it called? A Sheikhad Lemizmor Tzaddik. Now we're in Mizmor Tzaddik, that the end of it is in Tzaddik, Mizmor 90. That it says, V'yihi noam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu, that may this is also the Rebbe's 90th year, his birthday. It says, may the pleasantness of God be on us, and the deeds of our hands, what we do, will be permanent. What does it mean it'll be permanent? That the Shekhinah, that God's presence will be in our hands, on our commandments, the things that we do. This is the reward that we talked about, and a big way of all of the efforts and work that we have been done. From among the teachings that we've said before, regarding actually what to do. Up to now, we've been talking about attitude and what the goal is, and setting the perimeters and the paradigms, and what exactly are we supposed to be thinking about and working for, and longing for, is the days of the Moshiach, the revelation of God that's going to be in the whole entire world. That's the goal. Okay, what are we supposed to actually do? Number one, the Rebbe is going to give us three main things. Number one, to advertise in every single place, Sha'omdim B'siyam, that we are now at the end, and the ceiling, the finality of all of our service and all of our work and our efforts and self-sacrifice for all these years. Like we said, Ki Tetzei L'Milchama, the war against our enemies is over, or it's almost over. It says Mesayim, we are finishing. And B'techilas the Tekufa, the Tashlum Aschar, we are the beginning of the period of, and now it's payday. Payday. We finished the work, now we're getting paid. What's the pay? Matan Schar Shel Tzadikim, the reward of the Tzadikim, Ki Tavo Ala Oretz, coming to the land of Israel. I think that we can see now in our time, I mean, it's in the news everywhere, that all sorts of Jews are waking up. All sorts of Jews. In Israel, there are Jews which were staunch, fiery leftists, opposed to the Torah, hated the religious people, and the whole idea of the commandments and Jewish identity, that's our nemesis. We got to get away from this. That causes all of our problems. That's what they thought. We can be friends with the... I saw somebody yesterday, very interesting, that he said he wants to apologize. He's a big leftist. I don't know who the fellow is, a fellow called Goldschmidt, Eli Goldschmidt. I don't know who he is. An older fellow, maybe he's in his 60s, 70s, looks very good, looks Israeli. And he said, I was wrong. He said, in Germany, the Nazis killed the Jews. And after the war, so everything returned back to normal. The Jews got along with the Germans perfectly, maybe better than any other place after the war. The 50s, the 60s, right? Everything returned, and the Jews were totally accepted, and they could be professors again, all the things that were before the war. The whole war was just... So the Israelis thought that you could do the same thing with the Arabs. That, good, the Arabs made all these terrorist attacks with Arafat and Malchut, killing all these children and things like that. But they figured, listen, we can make peace with them. And we really thought that we could. And he said, I was one of the forerunners of this. And he said, I realized that we're wrong, that it's impossible. You can't make peace with these people, that they hate us because we're Jews and we're Jews. And all of a sudden, he just started talking about Judaism. And there's Jews all over the world that are starting to wake up to being Jews. And those Jews that are against Judaism, they're proudly saying it. No one's hiding it inside. Everything is revealed. It's on the table. It's on the table. The Jews that are against Judaism, they're openly admitting, I want to commit suicide, and I'm proud of it, and I love it, and I hate the Jews, and I'm a Jew, and I hate Jews. And I said with the people, what's going on over here? What's happening? The Jews and the whole world is starting to realize clearly what is good and what is bad, how it's possible to call good bad and bad good, how it's possible. And Jews all over the world are waking up. They're waking up. And I think that the reason why is because in Israel they're waking up. Everything goes according to the Jews in Israel. That's what I think. And we see that in Israel there's this weird turnover that's happening. A lot of the soldiers, staunch, super leftist soldiers, all of a sudden they're coming back home with tzitzis on and with a kippah on. I'm not religious, man. Oh, no. I put on tefillin every day, but I'm not religious. No, I don't drive on Shabbat. I'm not religious at all. Religious wants to be religious. But kosher, I only eat kosher. But even more. Everything is being done in a peaceful way, in a way that's settled. Joy, and with a good heart. Kolel, including also a richot idvadio, to making forbringings of joy. Ubemiyuchad, especially b'sheichot l'simchat nesuyin, and the Sheva Yemei Amishta, and the holiday of rejoicing of the marriage day. It's the marriage day of the previous Rebbe, and the 13th, the marriage day of his father, and so that the marriage day between God and the Jewish people, when the yeshiva of Tomchei Tamimim was founded. This is including the custom. It's a custom of the Jewish people to make what's called Sudat Aniyim, that they make a meal for poor people. This is like the preparation for what we're working for in the future. It says Yomalei Schok Pino, that our mouths will be filled with joy. I share that, but Doreinu Zeb, that in our generation, the leader of our generation, that his second name is Yitzchak, Yosef Yitzchak. That's his name. By means of Schok V'Simcha, by means of because of joy and rejoicing. Let's see, do we have the first picture? No, there's a really good picture of the Rebbe. Maybe we can. I don't know, of him laughing. I have it in my house, actually. Let's see. Oh, here's a nice picture of him smiling. Anyway. Oh, got a lot of pictures. There we go. Very stern. I mean, he was put into, there's a nice picture. See this? Here's a nice picture of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is when he was in Russia. I mean, he had a lot to cry about, not too much to be happy about, but he was happy because he was a Jew and that he knew that he was doing the work of, bringing Moshiach and making everybody aware of something to really be happy about. Okay, so here we go. It says, then we will be totally happy. That's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. I just showed the picture of that. His second name is Yitzchak. Yitzchak means to rejoice. He will rejoice, will make rejoice. Because Schok V'Simcha, because of the joy and the happiness, he is also the 8th leader of Chabad from the Baal Shem Tov. He's the previous one. It says, Az Yamalei Schok Pino. It says, then will be filled. Where is this? Where's the pasuk? Az, then, in the future, our mouths will be filled with joy. Az is the numerical value of 8. 1 and 7 is 8. And the previous Rebbe was the 8th Rebbe leader from the Baal Shem Tov. He is the one that'll make this generation happy, not in a future way, but present. Az, not in a but hove, actual, being happy right now. I mean, it's not very, okay, that's when you think about positive things, you can be positive. To be aware that somehow or other the negative things is just coming out, cleaning house. That eventually the world will be exactly and we'll see that that's the way it is now. But there has to be removed all these negative things. That's number one. So number one is what? To advertise everywhere that we are the end of the exile. Number two, Lafarsem, to advertise every single place the special mission of Tomchei Tamimim, the yeshivas of Chabad, that is continuing and are active in all of the corners of the world in a way of nerot lahir. They are illuminating the world with education, with light, information, awareness of who we really are. Shenosef lakachta, in addition to the fact that every single Jew has to be a house, a Beit Yehudi, every single Jewish house has to be a house of Torah and prayer and good deeds, like we said many times. But there also has to be every house something like Yeshiva Tomchei Tamimim, how that they learn Chassidut. In addition to learning Torah, you have to learn Torah all the time, but in addition to that, also learn Chassidut. Second thing. So the first thing is to advertise that we are at the end of the exile and the beginning of the redemption. Number one. Number two, to advertise in every place that we are emissaries of the Rebbe and we have to learn Chassidut. In every single house, there should be books of Chassidut and they should be learned from the ideas of Chassidut, from the previous Rebbe, from there's hundreds of books of Chassidut, of Ma'amarim just written, and speeches and letters. Number three, Lefarsem, to advertise in every place that we should provide for people the necessities of the holidays to anyone who needs it 30 days before the holiday, in order that they will be able to prepare for the time of our rejoicing in a way of calmness, in a way of a good heart. And even before that, regarding to the necessities of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is going to be in another, the 2.5 weeks. Like the language, it says, Achlu, Mishmanim, Veshatu, you should eat like the fat food and drink the sweet things and send gifts one to the other. In other words, provide for the needs of the poor. And there's a lot of Jewish people that they are poor. They haven't got, they haven't got what in their refrigerator, but they're proud. They don't want to go out and ask. So you should try to find out, however you can, ask their friends. Maybe this person needs something. Maybe this guy needs something. Maybe that. May it be God's will that by means of talking about and receiving and making good resolutions, and all we said before, that we should merit immediately, that God should give each and every Jew all that he needs from his hand, his full, open, and holy and wide hand, God personally. Of course, he'll give it by means of others, but also there's sometimes when just miracles happen. How much more so, what's the main topic that all of this is the umbrella, that all of the things we've been talking about are under, is the main essence of Judaism, the main topic of Chabad, the main topic of the creation of the world, is the Geula Mitit Veshlema, the total, true redemption by means of the Moshiach. Or the language of the Torah and Parshat, we read in this week's Torah portion, in Mincha, Ki tavo ala oretz, when you come to the land of Israel, v'yarashto, and you will conquer it, v'yashavta bo, and dwell in it. But take it miyad immediately, v'lakachta mereshis kol pri adama, and we will take from the first fruits, and you will go to the place where God chose that God yivchar Hashem. Here it says that God will choose. This is because it's talking to the Jews in the desert, but we're also, so to speak, in the desert. The Holy Temple is not here. We'll go to that place, the Shekin Shalom Sham, to make his name present there. And if you remember, we learned a couple of weeks ago, there was a letter from the Rebbe, from the brother of the Maharal Prague, and he said that the place where God chose to make his name dwell is wherever there is a Jew. If that Jew is thinking about the future redemption and going to Jerusalem, where the Holy Temple is going to be, then that person, even though the Holy Temple is not there yet, but wherever he is in the world, if that's where his mind is, that's where God's name is dwelling. Yivchar Hashem asher shachin shalom Hashem, and God's name is with that person. Wherever you are, if that's what you're dreaming about, you're thinking about, va'ad l'siyam parsha, until the end, it says hashkifa mima'on kodesh. Next week, it says, look down, God, from your holy mimon kodesh, from your holy place, from heaven, and bless your people, as Amcha, as Yisrael, the Jewish people. This begins with the main blessing of the Gula Mitit Shlema, the total complete redemption by means of the Mashiach immediately. Amen. Now let us do the Yom Yom. So where we go? Don't tell me. Oh, here we go. Good, good. Well,